Welcome to the Deep Dive. We are embarking today on a discussion about, well, a central paradox of human experience, one that the Stoics really got to grips with millennia ago.
hmm
We spend so much of our energy dreading misfortune, right? Failure, public insult. But what if the opposite, success, specifically external praise, fame, reputation, what if that's actually equally destabilizing? Maybe even more so to your inner character.
It's a huge blind spot, isn't it? We're sort of psychologically wired to brace against bad things happening,
Right.
but then we just drop our guard completely when the good stuff arrives, the applause, maybe sudden wealth, flattery, and the Stoic perspective is just ruthlessly pragmatic here.
How so?
Well, if you let your sense of self, your peace of mind, become dependent on the fickle acceptance of the crowd, you're basically willingly surrendering your internal freedom, your rational freedom.
Okay, that sets our mission perfectly then.
Yeah.
Because for most people, success and external validation are, let's face it, the driving forces of their entire lives. But we're diving deep today into the kind of discipline required to stay utterly grounded, humble, and consistent, even when achievement hits its peak.
Right.
The core objective is learning to see reputation and applause as well as dangerous externals.
And focusing all that energy solely on virtuous character instead.
Exactly.
And, before we dive deeper, it's probably vital we clarify what the Stoics were actually aiming for, because the modern understanding of Stoic, it's so misleading.
Right, it conjures up images of someone like granite-faced, suppressing all emotion. We think of apathy, not happiness.
Precisely. But when you actually immerse yourself in the writings, Seneca, Musonius Rufus, you find a tradition that was surprisingly cheerful, actually profoundly optimistic.
Really, cheerful.
Yeah. Their philosophy wasn't about suppressing joy, it was about securing it, making it permanent.
Okay, so what specifically were they searching for then, if not just grim endurance?
Seneca, he put it beautifully. He defined the core search as discovering, and I'm quoting here loosely, how the mind may always pursue a steady and favorable course. It may be well disposed towards itself and may view its conditions with joy. And this wasn't just minor satisfaction he was talking about. This was profound, unshakable delight.
Wow. That is a fundamental shift, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It turns Stoicism from just a defense mechanism against pain into, well, an engine for generating durable internal pleasure.
It's entirely an engine for internal delight. Musonius Rufus made this totally explicit. He noted that if we live strictly by Stoic principles, meaning, we apply reason consistently to every decision, then, quote, a cheerful disposition and secure joy automatically follow.
Automatic.
Yeah, it's like the necessary result of self-mastery. And this joy, crucially, it doesn't depend on external luck. It flows directly from the quality of your character.
So the immediate challenge then becomes, how do we protect that internal joy from being corrupted by what the outside world calls success, all that praise and stuff?
Well, first we have to draw a very clear line between the two, which brings us neatly to this idea of the internal goal versus the external illusion of success.
Right. Because if that true, durable joy comes from deep within, like Seneca said, then by definition, it has to be found in one's own resources. It can't be found outside your own mind.
Correct. And the primary external that usually seduces us is, well, wealth and accumulation.
Right, the big one.
Yeah. Musonius Rufus, just observing the wealthy people of his time, he pointed out that having great riches doesn't actually enable us to live without sorrow or banish grief. He saw plenty of rich men who, despite all their extravagant luxuries, felt sad and wretched inside.
That directly challenges the assumption that, material accumulation is the path to contentment. It's a delusion that's probably only gotten stronger in the 21st century.
Yeah.
We constantly equate our net worth with our worth as a human being.
Oh, absolutely. And Seneca was just ruthless in dismantling this. In his Consolation to Helvia, which he wrote to comfort a woman whose son was exiled, he posed this really cutting rhetorical question to expose how irrational accumulation is. He asked, basically, isn't it madness and the wildest lunacy to desire so much when you can hold so little?
It's the sheer physical absurdity of it. We strive for this infinity of things we can't even practically use or manage.
Exactly. Seneca drove the point home. He concluded that it's just folly to think that it is the amount of money and not the state of mind that matters. Focusing on the quantity is a total distraction from the only thing that truly matters, the cultivated quality of your own mind.
And Epictetus took that logic, that calculation, and pushed it even further, to its starkest philosophical conclusion, really. He argued that the cost of wealth often just outweighs any benefit.
He certainly did. Epictetus flat out asserted that it's better to die of hunger with distress and fear gone than to live upset in the midst of plenty.
Wow, that's radical.
It is, and you really need to sit with the philosophical cost-benefit analysis he's doing there. He recognized that just maintaining great wealth introduces huge stress. The fear of losing it, the paranoia about who's truly a friend, the moral compromises you might need to make to protect it.
So managing the external thing, the wealth, it often demands these morally compromising decisions, or relying on unreliable people, or just constant vigilance, all of which chips away at your inner integrity.
That's the whole point. The distress and fear that come with high-stakes external living, those are the real poisons. So for Epictetus, not needing wealth, cultivating that self-sufficiency and moral independence that's inherently more valuable than wealth itself.
That foundational independence.
Exactly. That's what allows us to pursue the ultimate Stoic goal, eudaimonia.
Right. Let's unpack eudaimonia a bit, because it often gets translated simply as happiness, but it's much more specific than that, isn't it?
It really is. Eudaimonia literally means something like having a good indwelling spirit, or maybe more interpretively, achieving a happy, smoothly flowing life. And crucially, it's achieved by living with our 8 virtue, excellence, living in accordance with reason.
And that state is internally generated. It can't be taken away by losing money or public disgrace.
Correct. So the key maneuver isn't setting a fixed external goal like I must be rich or I must win this award. It's establishing an internal process goal.
A process goal.
Absolutely. The Stoics recognize that the only thing we truly control is our prohairesis, our moral purpose, the intentions behind our actions, and how we apply reason right here, right now. That is the process goal.
Whereas the actual outcome.
Yeah, the outcome, whether the business succeeds, whether the politician gets elected, whether the money lands in the bank, that's often governed by external factors we just don't control, like the weather, politics, other people's whims.
This is where that famous archer analogy comes in, right?
Right.
It illustrates this perfectly.
It really does. So we, as the archer, we focus entirely on the quality of our shot.
Okay.
Drawing the bow correctly, regulating our breathing, aiming perfectly, executing the virtuous action, the intention, and the effort. That part is entirely within our control. That's our virtue.
Right.
But we cannot control that sudden gust of wind that might just blow the arrow off course and make us miss the bullseye. Okay. So tying your happiness to hitting the target makes you vulnerable. You get inflated if you succeed, disappointed if you fail.
Right. But tying your happiness only to the quality of your shot ensures you are consistently successful in what matters, regardless of the actual result.
That's the fundamental difference between chasing external success and cultivating internal virtue.
Exactly. And nothing corrupts that focus on the process goal faster than getting hooked on external praise and pursuing it. Which brings us to our next point, the corrosion of flattery.
Reputation. It's the ultimate external by definition. If your well-being, your sense of self hinges on public acclaim, you've basically put your mind in serious danger.
That takes us right back to Epictetus's dichotomy of control, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Things outside our control include reputation, worldly success.
Yeah.
If your happiness depends on them, he warned, you've effectively handed over your freedom and your well-being to the whims of something or someone else. You become an emotional slave to the shifting opinions of the public. And Marcus Aurelius, writing right from the center of the Roman world, he was particularly attuned to this danger. He cautioned against attaching the mind to popular applause, power, riches, or sensual enjoyments.
He saw those things as mental commanders, almost. Marcus realized that if we allow these externals to even appear suitable to our nature, like if we rationalize chasing praise as being somehow necessary for our work or our character, they instantly become our masters.
They take over.
Yeah, they hurry us away from rational judgment, and suddenly we start prioritizing the applause over doing the just action.
And Seneca gave us the deep psychological reason why we fall for this trap of external validation. It actually starts with us.
Yeah, Seneca observed that our principal hindrance is that we're often so easily satisfied with ourselves already. We walk around a lot of the time with this slightly inflated, maybe unearned opinion of our own goodness or wisdom.
So we're just looking for external confirmation of our own internal bias, like, tell me I'm great.
Exactly. We're rights for flattery. So when we meet someone who says, oh, you're so good, you're so wise, so upright, we eagerly acknowledge the description. And we're not content with just moderate praise either. Whatever shameless flattery heaps upon us, we accept as our due.
That's a powerful insight. that the praise seeker becomes a willing partner in their own delusion.
Mm.
We agree with those who say we're the best and wisest, even though, as Seneca points out, deep down, we kind of know they're probably lying or exaggerating.
The flattery works as a trap because we already harbor the wish for it to be true. And Marcus Aurelius provides the antidote to this self-delusion, and he does it with this just breathtaking dose of cosmic perspective.
How so?
When you're tempted by fame, he says, you have to consider how quickly all things that are forgotten.
He forces you to zoom out completely, right? Just take your ego right out of the picture.
Totally. You have to contemplate the immense chaos of eternity before your life and after your short life. That's the temporal challenge to your ego. But he also applies a geographic challenge.
Yeah.
He forces us to analyze how limited the reach of that fame actually is. Marcus asks us to consider that the whole earth is but as one point.
A tiny speck.
Yeah.
A pale blue dot.
Right. And if the whole earth is just one point, then of the inhabited part, how small is the actual area? And how few are the people who will actually know you, let alone commend you?
So your reputation, even at its absolute greatest, is geographically and temporally microscopic.
Exactly. So to sacrifice your virtue, your internal freedom for that micro dot of temporary applause, it's just profoundly irrational when you see it that way.
And this isn't just abstract theory for emperors writing in their journals, is it? History shows the direct, sometimes destructive consequences when societies prioritize public appeal over real virtue. Machiavelli offered a really striking example from the Roman Republic.
Yeah, Machiavelli noted that in calm, prosperous periods, republics often fall into this infirmity of lightly esteeming their worthiest citizens,
Right.
because those calm times tend to favor people who are merely popular. You know, the charismatic ones, the ones good at public relations, rather than those with genuine, tested character forged in difficulty.
He cited the example of the great general Paulus Emilius.
That's right. Emilius was actually rejected for the consulship during peacetime. It wasn't until the formidable Macedonian War broke out when the Republic faced real danger and popular appeal was suddenly meaningless against a serious threat. Only then was his genuine worth recognized and actually needed.
And the danger here is systemic, right? When the public values popularity over genuine virtue, what happens to the truly virtuous person who gets overlooked?
Well, Machiavelli warned that these slighted citizens, feeling undeservedly overlooked or maybe even insulted, might actually strive to change the times by stirring up wars hurtful to the public welfare, just to create a crisis where their true worth is finally recognized.
Wow. So the slighted ego of one person, seeking the external validation they feel entitled to, could potentially lead to civil unrest or unnecessary warfare. That's the ultimate external consequence of internal bitterness fueled by a need for praise.
It illustrates perfectly why chasing fame isn't just a personal failing, it can be a civic danger.
Okay, so what's the opposite? What's the ideal?
Well, conversely, the ideals may be demonstrated by the Emperor Antoninus Pius, who was Marcus Aurelius' predecessor and someone Marcus admired deeply. Pius didn't fall into this trap at all.
How did Pius manage to maintain his inner balance, his equilibrium, despite having literally the entire Roman world applauding him?
Marcus praised him for being no sophist, not a pedant, but a right man, a complete man. And crucially, Pius didn't seek to humiliate others. He stayed humble, he led a simple life, and he showed this profound lack of appetite for the public show, for the pomp and circumstance. He really exemplified the kind of character that simply didn't crave external validation or fame. He just focused instead on doing his duty, on right action.
That consistency of character, the ability to remain the same person regardless of the circumstances, good or bad, that seems to be the core takeaway here.
It is.
And that leads us directly into another profound Stoic reframing, how they viewed what we call good fortune and adversity.
Yeah, the Stoics completely flip our conventional understanding on its head. Seneca went so far as to argue that excessive good fortune is in fact really bad for us.
That seems like an almost impossible statement for a modern person to process.
Yeah.
How can unending success possibly be misfortune?
Well, Seneca clarified it. He said that unending luxury and wealth constitute no worse luck, and his reasoning is structural. It's about character development.
Okay.
This state of constant comfort and ease, it just makes us lazy, complacent, ungrateful, and perpetually greedy for more. It removes all friction, and for the Stoic, this absence of a crucible, this lack of challenge, that is the real misfortune because it prevents moral growth.
Right. If character is like a muscle, then constant success, constant ease, starves it of the necessary resistance it needs to develop.
Precisely. Adversity, on the other hand, is seen as a massive opportunity. It forces us to forge character, to develop crucial virtues like patience, courage, resilience.
So it's a training ground.
Exactly. Seneca used the analogy of a general training his best troops. God, or fate, or the universe sends the toughest challenges only to the most worthy individuals. Adversity becomes a sign that you possess a truly virtuous core that's actually worth testing and strengthening.
It transforms adversity from being a curse into almost a badge of honor, a necessary training exercise. And we see this principle play out so clearly in the history of Marcus Aurelius himself, who faced just constant difficulty during his reign.
Yeah, the historian Cassius Dio noted that Marcus did not meet with the good fortune that he deserved. He was involved in a multitude of troubles throughout practically his entire reign, and all while being physically weak.
Yeah.
Yet Dio admired him intensely because amid these relentless wars, plagues, financial crises, Marcus preserved the empire, and this is the crucial part. He remained the same and did not change in the least.
That is the ultimate test of the Stoic ideal, isn't it? That unchanging inner core. He was tested not just by foreign wars, but by internal threats too, like the potential civil war from the rebel general Avidius Cassius. And yet, his commitment to reason and duty never seemed to waver.
His focus was entirely internal. Even when faced with the possible collapse of the empire or betrayal from a trusted general, Marcus focused on his internal response. He emphasized that he could get just as much healthy enjoyment from the simple, controllable things in life, like drinking clean water or walking in the fields, as others seem to get from excessive indulgence.
His virtue, his core, was independent of the imperial chaos swirling around him.
That's the goal.
Okay, so we've established that the goal is this unshakable, consistent inner character, immune to both the highs of flattery and the lows, the challenges of misfortune. The big question remains, how do we actually do that work? What are the cognitive tools we need to build and maintain this grounded character?
Well, Marcus Aurelius gave us a pretty clear blueprint, especially in his meditations. One key tool is the power of self-reflection and withdrawal.
Withdrawal? Like becoming a hermit?
No, not physically. He advised frequently putting into practice this kind of retiring of thyself to what he called the little part of thyself, which is the rational governing part of the mind, your inner citadel.
So it's not a physical retreat, but a mandatory mental break, like hitting pause.
Exactly. It's an internal calibration session. This internal retreat is essential because it purges the soul of all that external noise, the applause, the demands, the worries, and it allows you, the individual, to consider everything with the singular objective of virtue. You have to constantly check the settings of your mind, so to speak.
And he believed the mind's rational commanding part is the only thing that can truly direct itself.
Yes, it's the only thing that can turn and stir itself, and most importantly, it controls interpretation.
The interpretation part.
Right. Marcus taught that this internal part can make everything that happens appear unto itself, as it will itself. You control the narrative, you control your reality by controlling your judgment about it.
This self-governance, this control over judgment, is the precursor to that technique of cognitive distancing, which is absolutely essential for resisting external judgments, whether they're praise or insult. This is maybe the most famous Stoic technique of all.
It really is the fundamental one, Marcus taught. If you are pained or disturbed by any external thing, it is not this thing that disturbs you, but your own judgment about it. And it is in your power to wipe out this judgment now.
Okay, but to make this truly actionable, how do we actually wipe out the judgment? That sounds easier said than done when you're feeling praised or attacked.
You perform what the Stoics called analysis into component parts, or sometimes physical definition.
Okay, like what?
So if someone is showering you with flattery, you analyze the praise. Okay, what is it really? It's just moving air, vibrations, sounds arranged in a certain pattern hitting my eardrum. If you find yourself coveting, say, a gold statue, you analyze it. What is it? It's just some molded earth and metal, maybe skillfully done, but inherently just stuff. But once you realize the external thing itself has no inherent power to create happiness or unhappiness, you recognize that the emotional turbulence, the pleasure from praise, the pain from insult is manufactured entirely internally by your subjective opinion, your judgment about it.
It drains the power right out of the external object or comment. It neutralizes it.
Exactly. And this tool isn't just for reacting, it can be used proactively for immediate self-correction, which is vital when our ego gets stung or just as dangerously inflated.
Right.
Yes, Marcus gave a really powerful instruction for those moments of provocation or temptation. He said, whenever you take offense at someone's wrongdoing, or maybe when you feel that sting of envy, or even the seductive pull of flattery, you must immediately turn to your own similar failings,
Look inwards.
such as seeing money as good, or pleasure, or a little fame. By recognizing our own moral similarity, our own susceptibility to these same desires, to the person we're judging, or the person whose praise we crave, the high ground just disappears.
It eliminates that unwarranted high opinion of ourselves that Seneca warned about.
Precisely. By focusing on our own similar desires for these externals, money, pleasure, fame, Marcus says we'll quickly forget our anger, or lose our sense of superiority, or maybe resist the flattery better. It forces us back towards acting from duty and justice, rather than from ego or inflated emotion.
Okay. So the ultimate result of mastering these internal tools, the withdrawal, the cognitive distancing, the self-correction, is an unwavering focus on right action. The definition of happiness itself completely shifts.
It does. Happiness in the Stoic sense isn't about feeling good because people praise you or because you got rich. It consists in knowing the true nature of everything, the ephemeral nature of fame, the transient nature of wealth, the indifference of externals, and then, with heart and soul, always doing what is just and speaking the truth in the present moment.
So the final vision is one of, like a relentless, unbroken chain of virtuous conduct.
That's a great way to put it. That is the summation of a life well lived according to the Stoics. What remains is simply to enjoy thy life in a course and coherence of good actions, one upon another, immediately succeeding and never interrupted.
And if your life is defined by that unbroken internal coherence,
Then the whims of applause, the sting of criticism, the sudden loss of fortune, they just become irrelevant noise, background static.
wow. Okay, this deep dive has really profoundly recalibrated the definition of success, hasn't it? It's clearly not about the gold dish or the public acclamation. Those are just transient, often corrupting externals.
Right. True success for the Stoic is purely internal. It's consistency. It's joy derived from your rational mind, from your own resources, from living virtuously.
And we've firmly established that the Stoics were fundamentally wary of the easy life. They actually considered enduring ease and excessive luxury to be the true misfortune.
Because it starves the character of the very challenges needed to develop patience, courage, moral strength. It basically leads to an atrophy of the soul.
Okay, so here is the final provocative thought for you, the listener, to carry forward based on this core Stoic paradox. If the greatest misfortune is actually unending success and luxury, then what small adversity, or perhaps what specific criticism or rejection, are you currently facing that might, in fact, be the greatest, most necessary opportunity for your character growth right now?
Embrace the friction, because that's where the real work, the real growth truly begins.
It was a worthy deep dive. Some powerful ideas there. We'll talk to you next time.